From WDWNT, the worldwide leader in Disney Parks news, this is ParksCenter. Hello there, everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of ParksCenter. Joining me on tonight's show, we have Allison.
Sivako, everyone.
Ooh.
Oh, Jill.
Nice.
Hello.
Nathan.
Oh, Kungaloosh, everybody. Kungaloosh.
And Tyler.
Oh.
Bob Dylan style.
Mic drop.
For those of you on the audio version of the show, he held up pieces of paper that spelled out Sivako.
Yes, my apologies.
All right, kicking off tonight's show with some... Honestly, I think this is pretty neat. I always like Jingle Cruise, and the Jingle Cruise has started service yet again this year. I'm a fan of this. It's such a little thing that they do, but it always makes me happy. I do think that maybe like the day after Halloween is a little too quick of a turnaround for this, but I still like it.
All for it. All for it. This is good. This is what, look, when you live down here, you don't have a lot of things that tell you it's Christmas. And really, you just change the seasons based on what Disney does. So, like, this weekend, we're putting up the tree because it's time. And, like, that's just what you have to do. And that's not for everybody. But, like, we're going to go to the parks now, and it's full Christmas. And this is, like, one of the, like, my favorite Christmassy things. Ben, you mentioned, though, you said, like, it's not a big deal. Like, it's not a big thing. I think it's, like, the biggest deal because they don't do overlays of anything at Disney World. Like,
That's a fair
holiday overlays are not a thing anymore. Like, go talk to Country Bear Jamboree. That's where So, like, I just love that they still do this. They're not doing it at Disneyland, but Disneyland gets its, like, you know, Haunted Mansion thing, so they're fine. But I would love this to continue it to be a staple. And then I also hope that they expand and realize that holiday offerings are tons of fun and we want them.
Like,
So
I
my
silenced the
question-
group. I was
Not
so
too
good.
bad.
No one else had anything
yeah,
to say.
that killed it.
No, I agree with all those things. Here's my thing about holidays this year at Walt Disney World is why is it taking so long? Like, I feel like they have drug out the conversion from Halloween to Christmas longer than they usually do. I feel like they've also let some things behind the scenes show. Like, there was a morning where our people showed up at Animal Kingdom and the pole for the Christmas tree was up with no tree on it. And I feel like that's not a thing that Disney
Yeah,
normally
that's not
does.
a great show.
Gertie only just got her Santa hat today. But so I just feel like the flip is usually like a day or two, and it's been drug out for a week now, and I find that really strange.
I would say-
it reminds me, I was just going to say, it reminds me of the conversation we had last week about all the construction and how there's only so many people around only so many contractors around to do the work, and is this another instance of they've stretched them so thin that it's taking all this time?
I think possibly. I think also the thing we're not noticing, like the Animal Kingdom thing, for example, is that they are completely redoing holidays at Animal Kingdom this year. So I think their focus is just it's taken a lot more time because it's the first time they're setting it up. So that might be a reason for some of the delay. But it's also November 6th, people. So
the tree
we're
isn't
okay.
new, though. The
No,
tree
that's
isn't new. I
absolutely
mean,
true.
the tree's up there every year, and the fact that they're showing that post up there with no tree on it is it's bad show. And I feel like especially at Christmas time, you don't want to give bad show.
Yeah.
Well, they need to get Bob Chapek down to put the star on top. That's the whole thing they're waiting on. 'Cause that's what he does now. He loves
Is
to
it
go put
possible
stars on tops of trees.
Budget cuts have just like meant this is taking longer? Is that even possible?
It's possible.
That
Like
could
they
be
just
too.
downsize the number of people working on this. Moving from there over to a follow-up on a story we had last week on FuelRods. They were originally planning on making it $3 to swap a fuel rod where it was originally free. It is now free again.
Yay!
If I remember correctly, it never actually started costing money. They just put signs up that said, like, essentially a week from now, this is going to cost $3, fair warning. and then they have backpedaled hard on that. Disney actually went out and released an official statement on this, saying a decision has been made not to not implement the $3 portable charger swap fee until further notice, and that guests can continue to swap their fuel rods using their owned and operated kiosk at Walt Disney World for no additional cost at this time. Which does leave open the door that they might do this, change their minds on this in the future. But I suspect it has something to do with some pending litigation that we talked about.
Yeah.
Am I crazy?
They
The whole thing is
crunched
around
the
like
numbers. They crunched
No,
the
you're
numbers.
the
The
lead
general,
one.
the general
Yeah.
counsel was like, by the way, fuel rods, this is how much it's going to cost in litigation fees, just in attorney's fees. And if you lose, you're going to it's going to cost you a whole lot more. And we all know that they're probably not doing that well financially because they are delivering a substandard product. So they're like, it's probably just better for us to cut into our revenue here and just keep offering it for free.
Yeah. Tyler, what were you
it
going
was
to say?
around it. It was around it being like they advertised it as unlimited, and then they're
Mhm.
like, "Oh, but not now." Like
Yeah.
it was unlimited up until this point that we decided it was no longer unlimited.
That's a limit.
the
You
reason I
put
got
a
them.
limit on it. It's
Yeah.
not unlimited if you put a time limit on there.
Epcot forever. It's the reason I got a fuel rod. I had no power charger, and I was like, you know what? If they have them in the parks, this is like the perfect time. Are we still laughing about that? It's like the perfect time to get this specific product because, yeah, you can deposit it, and it's elsewhere in the world if you ever go anywhere.
Yeah.
It honestly is a convenience thing, especially when you buy one and you have two phones, and you're like, oh, mine's already charged, but the charger's out. Well, let's swap it. And then
Yeah.
you could just start using it again. Like, it's so convenient.
What if we just?
Like, I
What if we
literally-
just? Oh, go ahead, Jill.
I was just gonna say, like, yeah, that is it. I mean, my family generally travels around with quite a few fuel rods, and when we pass a swapping station, I will hand one to my niece and be like, "Hey, go run and swap this." Like, that's one of her jobs in Disney is to swap the fuel rods. And it's but a substandard product, it's nice to have, but I would have stopped carrying them if this $3 fee had gone into effect. But yeah, I think I think the change is solely a PR and, cost benefit analysis on Disney's part that is doing this going to be worth the backlash we're going to get. And I think the decision was no. I also think this limited time thing is either they're going to change it eventually because I don't know. And Allison, you're probably the best person to talk about this, but I don't think they can really win that Like, I don't think they're going to lose that the class action suit. I think that they're going to be allowed to implement those fees if they want to. But I also think maybe this is a stall mechanism for them to look at other alternatives if this fee implementation is coming from Fuel Rod and not from Disney.
That's fair.
We can do a legal analysis on that in the post show.
Yes.
Yeah.
Looking forward.
Got
to
plenty
that.
more coming up on this show.
Oh yeah, we've got we've got a whole thing for that. But next up on the agenda for tonight, I'm sorry, Bob, I'm afraid I can't do that. Says the head chef of Space 220. Just weeks before the expected opening of this restaurant in Epcot, the head chef has stepped down. This is a little shocking. I put out on Twitter that like people don't leave like positions that are like exciting, new, pushing the boundaries, and well managed.
I don't know.
Like it's.
I don't know. I don't.
There's
the thing
this is
about
a sign
this.
of something. I think.
No, go back to the article real quick.
Okay.
I want to suggest go down a little farther. What's his new job going to be? Where does it say that? It's
He's going
is going
back
to
to
be-
his
At the
old
Win.
job.
right. He's going back to the Wins and look, or that's at Sinatra. He's executive
Yeah.
chef at Sinatra. And here's the thing, like maybe you got into it and you were like, I'd rather be back where I was. This could really not be a big thing. This could really be like, I didn't like. It's not what I thought it was going to be. I'm not interested. Because like, do you want to go from like making nice premier like foods for people to like making space things for like bratty tourists? I don't. And like,
Then why did he take the job in the first place?
Yeah, that's fine.
I think-
Like, I get what
I
you're
think
saying.
the-
I agree. Why
right.
would you leave that kind of restaurant to go? You're absolutely right. Cook
Right.
like dumbed down cuisine for tourists in a themed restaurant. That doesn't
Right.
seem like a natural progression from Sinatra in Vegas. So why
Right.
did he take the job in the first place?
I think
And
I think he got offered more. I think he got offered more, and then
Yeah.
that got countered. Because like I think he didn't, and he wasn't enjoying it, and I think that he probably went back and said, "What would you take me back, and for what?" Like I think this could either, and I don't want to do too much hypothesizing because like we don't know, but at the same time like it's not great in general. This is like if people are happy, they don't do these type of things normally. It could be
Yeah.
that
Right.
he misses his family. That could literally be it. But like that's
That's
not the
fair.
trend at Disney right now. So I'm gonna guess there's more problems. We'll see if it opens on time.
Like if this was an isolated
right.
incident, I'd agree with you. This could be the family thing, but this is a trend that like not of people leaving like restaurant roles, but just hasn't necessarily been the best of times right now.
At Disney, you mean, right?
Yeah, in terms of management
Yeah.
specifically.
I like any situation where something happens and Disney has to go, quick. That always makes me a little bit happy. Like when I heard like a chef just left weeks before opening, I'm like, they must be scrambling right now. And like it sounds like they're already like far enough into where they already built sort of the menu out. They're looking for somebody who can take the reins there or add
Right.
their own like personal touch or something to stuff that's already been done. But yeah, in terms of like leaving, I would hate to move to a menu where you're legally obligated to have chicken nuggets and mac and cheese because just
Yeah, that's
like
fair.
kids don't want to eat that. I totally get that when you said that.
I would say though that like I can't blame him. It's a hell of a commute. It's 220 miles up,
Oh.
and I just don't think it'd be worth it.
what a perfect
The sound effect
time.
will go.
Oh, I need to get worst joke of the night brought in here for that. Oh my gosh. Moving from there to no, that title is the worst.
Something
joke
sad
of the
to even
night.
sadder.
Yeah. We have not one but two stories to talk about here. Charges have been dropped against the Disney Cruise Line youth host accused of fondling a 10-year-old guest. In one issue, and then in unrelated matters, a guest was arrested for allegedly groping princesses during meet and greets at the Magic Kingdom. To cover these topics, I'm going to throw it over to Allison's legal perspective. Because this has been coming up enough that we have a graphic at this point. So, Allison, please take this away.
So many legal issues, and even more coming up later in the show. So
Oh,
exciting.
yeah.
So let's start with the Miami, the cruise line situation. First, the allegations, if true, are horrendous. There's no question about that. But I have so many questions for the Miami-Dade prosecutor's office here, because they came into court on this day and offered this man a misdemeanor plea. Now, he's been in jail for the last 6 months, unable to make bail. So he's been sitting in jail waiting for trial. And they arrive in court and they say to him, okay, well, you don't have to risk trial. We're going to offer you a misdemeanor plea. And the guy says no. Now, that's a big risk to say, oh, I'm not going to take a misdemeanor plea. I'm going to take this all the way to trial. But that's what he did. And then immediately the prosecutors then say, oh, actually, we're going to drop the case against you because it's going to be too much for the victim's family to travel and have to testify. So they came in and offered him a plea deal, knowing that they had already decided that they can't prove this case, or they don't even want to try to prove this case. That's really strange, sketchy behavior, and quite frankly, weak. Because if they think this actually occurred, they do have a video that they say doesn't disprove the allegations, so put it to a jury. But they chose not to do that. Now,
in the article, it says, just briefly here, it says that he did confess to fondling the child as well. Like, how does that play? Why would they? I'm ignorant. If you've confessed, why do we even have a trial at this point?
So, this is another good legal question. The reason I didn't include that in the analysis is because I don't know what happened to that confession. It's possible that it was suppressed at a suppression hearing, because if the confession was deemed to be coerced or was inappropriate behavior by the police, that's not an unprecedented thing That's what happened with the Central Park 5. That's something that happens all the time. And so if there was inappropriate behavior and a judge, you can't bring this in, that might already not have been evidence they could introduce at trial. But it's also possible that they still had that confession and had some video evidence. That would have been enough to bring this to trial, but they decided they don't want to pursue it. So I don't know if they're just afraid that they might lose and it look bad or what. But it's very sketchy behavior to know that you're not going to proceed to trial that day and to offer a misdemeanor plea. I think that's sketchy. This speaking of sketchy, the alleged behavior of this man with Ariel is also deeply disturbing and horrendous. And my PSA: I'm not going to get into these allegations because I do believe in innocent until proven guilty. But here, if someone's going to be sketchy, you can't pick a more sympathetic victim than a Disney princess, and a Disney princess who doesn't even have legs to get away from you.
Jeez.
It's not like she can run. You're absolutely right.
This is terrible. Because what
Here's
does
my question.
happen?
I was just going to ask, how do you feel about the behavior of basically the cast members working with her who kind of like let it happen? Like they just asked him to move and then they proceeded to allow the meet and greet to continue. That's the thing that bothers me most about this is like there were lots of people witnessing this happen and nobody really stepped in to stop it from happening and just kind of let him go on. That I find that really messed up.
Yeah.
Is this a photo pass box or is this a photographer as well?
It's a photographer. We haven't had a photo pass box yet.
Okay. I'm just curious in the sense of literal evidence. So
No matter
this got,
what, there are security cameras everywhere.
No, absolutely.
Which is another bad reason to choose a victim at Disney. Choose a Disney princess.
Man, you make us all sound so smart. Well, you sound so smart when you talk about this stuff. I feel like you end and I'm like, I'm Chris Matthews. We'll be back after this commercial break. Like it's so like it's newsy. It sounds real. Except I'm over here making jokes about commutes. So thank you.
We are a real news organization. I don't know.
We are.
Like we like to have fun with it every now and then.
Some of us are in our pajamas and we're a real news organization.
Indeed, I am wearing penguins on my pants.
Well, I mean, how often have you seen the pants of the newscasters on CNN? I'm just saying.
Oh no!
No, it's true. It's absolutely true. That's 100% true.
Moving on though to
broadcasters in the post show.
To something on this this topic, this show tonight, because pants are not on the agenda. President Donald Trump is scheduled to attend a GOP fundraiser at the Grand Floridian Resort in Florida. The only real comment that I have to say about this is that this will be the second time in history that a sitting U.S. president has gone to a monorail resort while being impeached.
That's just true.
Just saying.
That's amazing.
I mean, it's a shame. As I said on Twitter, it's a shame Bill Clinton never went to the Polynesian. We'd have
you're right.
And it's a bummer. I don't know how many political sort of meetings that or fundraisers have happened in the parks. I find it strange. I find it divisive. I find it something that probably shouldn't happen there. They're never going to say no to that kind of money, and I understand that. But it's also weird that he's doing that there and not at Mar-a-Lago. It just feels like maybe there's some sort of reason. But
I think they're doing it there, and he's
coming.
It wasn't his choice to have it there. It's a Florida Republican fundraiser.
Right, but it's Trump.
I think
and
he's
if he could have made money at Mar-a-Lago. Right.
Yeah, but he's going to Florida is like his backyard, so I think that's why he's attending. It has nothing.
Well, he's a
to do
Floridian
with
now. Yeah, he's a Floridian.
Yeah, he is.
He has changed his status, so now he's
he is now Florida man.
Yeah. Here's what I would say though. Let me try to find a positive spin on this from this commie liberal. There's something wonderful about stuff like this happening at Disney World. Like the Richard Nixon thing, I got to go into the room during the Retro WDW event recently. And it was the same room that Nixon said, "I am not a crook." And they put a Nixon statue, like a little stand-up cardboard thing, right in the same spot. You could take photos with it. And it was like, wow, this is like a legitimate piece of history. The lights are the same way that they were back then. It's incredible. John Lennon over at the Polynesian signed his name to the document that dissolved the Beatles. I think he was the last one to do it too.
Yeah.
So the Beatles ended at the Polynesian. It's wild that these sort of, like, you have such a massive cultural touchstone as Disney. And then on top of that, because of so many people and its importance, other things have happened there that connect to this broader idea of American history and just world history in general. And I think that's kind of fascinating. You know, you take politics aside, there's just something sort of amazing and wonderful about, like, I don't know, like, I might take the day off of work and go and just try to be around that. I'm sure it's going to be near impossible, but
sure.
like, there's something about, like, oh wow, this is a guy, like, whether you agree or not, like a guy who's being in the heat of impeachment, who is here at this fundraiser for an election that is heating up. It's a real, like, it's the crux of everything going on in society. And it's happening, like, next to Mickey's house. It's bizarre. So there's that, the dichotomy there, I think, is so wonderful and so uniquely American, I would say.
Right. And, based on past history, I think we have hopes that something else crazy might happen. So, we'll see.
Well, if you're interested in seeing it firsthand with Nathan, December 7th is the date there.
Oh, it's my birthday. I'm not doing that on my birthday. Forget about it. No, that's not happening.
No, I'm not kidding, though. December 7th is the... All right. Well, and you can contact our travel sponsor, Never Grow Up Vacations, if you want to stick around for details.
If you're looking to give money to a pact.
What do you think?
You'd like the Trump package? Oh, yeah, let's apply that.
Moving over to Hollywood Studios, which we've got the new sign at the archway. It is missing something in the O's. We were going to have some characters in those O's. They decided against it.
Yeah, you're right.
This is quite the backpedal, in my opinion. I feel like this is Disney hearing everybody say, "This is a terrible idea, don't do it," and then not doing it.
Didn't you go like this when they announced it? You were like in the front during the 30th.
We talked about it last week.
That's my favorite thing.
I feel like there are these, like, legendary stories about me floating around WWNT, and none of them like portray me in a good light. Because there's another one where I freaked out on the hostess at the Wave. It's just kind of these stories.
Right.
But yeah, what is this backpedal? I mean, especially it took. They build up all this anticipation by taking so long to put the logo up, and then suddenly the logo goes up and there's no characters in it. And is that indicative of, are we not going to see those characters in other things? Like, how is this going to work? What's going to happen to this logo? But now they've committed and they've put it up. And and thank you, Ben.
That's the concept art.
I mean, guys, look at this concept art. They're never going to have those people in the logo. Like, you can almost see the box surrounding that logo.
I think our graphics team made that concept art, didn't they? We
seriously, look at the photo we took. Like, that crowd is actually bigger, folks. It is smaller in the concept art than it is in reality.
Yeah, right.
The sign worked. It did it.
That. In actual life, it looks gross. Sorry, finally something I can talk about. Fonts and color theory. Yeah. It looks disgusting. It's this weird dark teal blue. They were painting it blue, and I'm like, why would you paint it blue when the sky is blue? Like, it doesn't, and it's this gross desaturated thing. The font evokes nothing about Hollywood. They just, like, selected some random Arial font that's sans serif,
Arial
and they're
black.
like, sure, look at that. It doesn't stand for anything studios, and it's just so, like, compared to the concept art, which looked like gold and shining and very saturated and beautiful. I mean, I know it's like, the photos, like, it's Florida. Like, if it's overcast, it's going to look gray and gross. But if that's the case, then everything around should also be, like, full of, like, it looks like at least a nice colorful blue in that. And then this just looks like gross desaturated, and I don't even
Well,
get why you have
Tyler,
to put a sign on there anyways. It's not like it's
You
the
mentioned-
actual entrance to the park.
Yeah, but you mentioned that it doesn't evoke studios to you, and it's like the logo doesn't evoke studios. It literally reads Hollywood Studios. Like it's the smallest studios
Yeah,
you
that's
could
true.
possibly put in the logo. So
It does. You're right.
Hollywood,
It's even smaller than the word that says Disney. Like it was more important that
Disney's
Disney's Hollywood.
Disney's Hollywood Studios.
Afterthought. Like they could just remove that later when they're like, oh yeah, we'll just call it Disney Hollywood.
I think that's
Blah, blah, blah.
No, it just looks like it's a hospital sign or something. Like
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
It
This is
does.
Florida
It's like
Hospital.
beige.
it's a
parking
whole
this
wing
way.
that could use some work. So yeah, it's a hospital.
It needs some triage for sure.
I think Doc McStuffins is in Disney Junior, right?
Oh
Like,
no!
Technically,
Technically,
it is a hospital.
I
So-
guess you're right.
Cardiac surgery to the right.
Oh gosh. Well, tell me where the ears, nose, and throat doctors are at, because I'm gonna need it after going to Small World in Disneyland. They are putting 3 new immersive scents inside of the holiday overlay.
You don't seem happy about this.
I'm not.
Yeah, you sound really
So I'm
psycho.
not opposed to this necessarily, but it just feels gimmicky. Like this doesn't. This
Ben,
why?
It's all gimmicky. It's a Small World
I
is basically at this
guess.
point gimmicky. Like it's way past its like I don't know. I don't have any issue. I mean, what is a holiday overlay if not gimmicky? The only reason that you don't hate Jingle Cruise is because like the Jungle Cruise is gimmicky. That's the whole point of the Jungle
it's
Cruise.
the whole thing's camp. So making it more
Right.
camp isn't a problem.
Right. But you don't find Small World to be campy?
No,
Like, in a good way. I don't-
like.
Mary Blair,
Small
don't
World
get me
is
wrong.
the campiest of
Like
the
no,
campy.
that's just.
Yeah. I mean, I just don't think it's what's the sense? Do we have the sense? Did they say
Oh,
what
do
the
we
sense
do we
are?
have the list of the scents in here? I'll be honest.
Do we have any scents
I feel
around
like we
here?
did. Yes, there we go. Asia is going to have the fragrance of cherry blossom. South America adds a cinnamon scent, and the South Seas brings tropical flair with the smell of coconut. So only one of those is kind of holiday-ish. I wouldn't necessarily say cherry blossoms and coconut are Christmassy unless you're doing like, I don't know, like the Hawaiian
they-
Christmas song.
Can they just leave those in there though?
I mean,
It's
I'm
like,
okay with that,
that's
honestly.
not a
Yeah, that if
bad
they, yeah,
use of that space. Are they able to do this because if you know Disneyland, it's the kind of the original model of the ride, and so like your tube where the water's at is separated from the actual sets. There's space in between you and the sets, whereas in Disney World, the water goes all the way up to the sets. I wonder if that's why they can do this smell thing, is because they have that extra space to add the smell stuff along the track, because I mean they can't put it in the cars, so I don't know how they would do it.
yeah. I
I
honestly
assumed it
don't
would
know.
just float from the ceiling, and I was just going to take a guess that people who are going to ride it are going to be like, "Oh, is there a smell?" I didn't even notice. Like, I feel like that's going to happen,
Yeah.
like, given where, because it's not like that ride was built to have smells in it or anything. So I assume that it's not going to have a huge impact, or people aren't even going to notice it.
Yeah,
I don't know. I
like-
think if they can do it in a ride like Soarin', then they should be able to do it in like a cavernous space, like a less
Yeah.
cavernous space, like
I mean, they
Small
do
World.
it on Main Street.
Yeah, they do. Yeah,
If they
that's
can do it outdoors on Main Street, I'm sure they can
That's
do
true.
it somewhere within the show building without it having to be like. I don't think it's going to be that close to the boats, because I think that will probably cause more problems than it will solve, so
That's
to speak.
possible,
But
yeah, you're right.
I don't know. I mean, I like the idea that the Smelitzer is such, kind of old school Disney technology, so
Yeah.
to speak, and they're putting it into the one of the most old school Disney rides there is. I think that's cute. And if this is the best they can do to plus Small World Holiday, that's fine. It's a
That's
good
fair.
experience to begin with, and they're just giving it a little boost. So why not?
All right, well, that is going to do it for this week's show, folks. Thanks for tuning in. We really do appreciate y'all watching. Big shout out to Never Grow Up Vacations, the official travel partner of WDWNT. They're an authorized Disney vacation planner whose focus is in making magic for their clients. And with over 20 years of experience in booking Disney vacations, we're sure they can help you make your next trip even more magical. So head on over to wdwnt.travel to contact them about your next trip today. That's going to do it for this week, folks. I'm going to cut the outro a little bit short because we are running a little long, but we do have a post show tonight. If you are not watching already on Crowdcast, you can head over to patreon.com/WDWNT to find the info there to join. And if you're not one of our WIGS members, WDWNT Interglobe Society, for as little as $2 a month, you can get access to our post show, the post show for News Tonight, and a whole host of other benefits, so I recommend you check that out. That's going to do it for this week, folks. We will see you all next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, all.
Bye.
I don't know.
Got you.